Oh, are you doing Southport of Ironman?
There ain't one at Southport, is there?
Is it? I thought it were Southport.
There's one at Bolton.
No.
Bolton is the only Ironman in England.
Oh, but my niece's husband, he's supposed to be doing one. I thought he said Southport.
Right. They have other races that are the Ironman distance, but the Ironman is a brand, you see. It's a brand.
All right.
So it might be what they call a long distance triathlon. So it could be the same distance, but it won't be an Ironman. As I said, there's only one Ironman race in England.
Right, I'll try and find out for definite what it is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It sounds
where do they run around Bolton?
Round the town centre.
Oh, cool.
It's a four lap running course, but they go out over Saddleworth Moor on the bike and they swim at Pennington Flash.
All right. Used to live there.
Did you? Okay. It's
with a Pennington Flash here.
Yeah.
Well, let's kill that one then.
Moving on.
Head in the water.
Woo!
Yeah, it's regarded as one of the tougher races.
Yeah.
There may be still one or two people to will just before Lol finishes news. It was remiss of me to mention to everyone it was Doug's birthday yesterday, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug's birthday, May the 3rd.
Happy birthday, Doug.
Happy birthday, Doug.
On Blackdown Avenue.
Yeah.
Eh?
I spent it on Blackdown Avenue.
Well, why do you come and, well, as it turned out, we were hardly in at all yesterday. But,
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry I didn't mention it, Doug, but I did give you the preview last week. But yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah. Also, it was Albert's at Manor yesterday.
Yeah.
was it?
Oh, yeah.
My son's birthday as well.
Yeah. And my mum's birthday.
Yeah.
Is it
Mine in October.
Yours in October.
I've got one this year at all.
Yeah.
I had one last year.
Ah,
Yeah.
I try to avoid them these days.
You were too many.
Right. Okay. So, Lol, would you like to complete your news?
Yeah, just a couple of little items. Now, the Premier League is to bring in a new owners' charter to stop future attempts to join a breakaway Super League.
yeah.
It follows Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City and Tottenham agreeing to join the failed European Super League last month. All the club owners will have to sign up to the new rulings, committing them to core principles of the league, with breaches punished by significant sanctions. The FA have said an inquiry into the 6 clubs involved has already started. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
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 Finally, the Premier League is to bring in just read that. My screen's gone all funny, that's why. Let me get it back to...
Yeah, mine has your faces on it.
I've got Ron's.
I've got Ron.
I've got Darth Vader here.
Yeah.
Who's been messing about?
I had it, but went to gallery view.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine went all strange as well. So
Yeah.
Back to normal.
yeah.
That's it. Got it back now.
Am I causing trouble?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
The last bit
Go on
of
then, Lol.
What do I do,
Last bit
Keith, to get it back to normal?
You
What
want
do I
to
do? What do I do, Keith, to get it back to normal?
Why?
Put gallery view on Big
Hang
Paul.
on. Have you got speaker view? Paul?
Top right-hand corner, Paul.
What's that? Top right-hand corner?
Yeah.
Yeah. If
View.
you move the cursor.
Yeah.
In the top right-hand corner, it says view. click on view.
Click on
and
view.
you'll- Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
and you'll get some options.
Speaker view and gallery.
You want gallery view. And then,
I tell you what, I'll drop out and join again.
Thank you.
no, no,
Sorted.
no, 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 no,
No,
no.
it's sorted,
Back
is
to
it?
normal.
Thought you all
Thank
over
you.
again.
Back to normal.
Done it, lol.
All right.
Ron, yeah. So go on,
Yeah,
lol.
just to finish off, the Manchester United's Premier League game against Liverpool was postponed after about 200 fans broke into the Old Trafford to protest against the Glazer family's ownership of the club. The fixture was scheduled to kick off at 4:30 on Sunday, and at first it was planned just to delay the kick-off until the fans dispersed. But a collective decision from the police, both clubs, the Premier League and local authorities was to cancel the game on the grounds of public safety. Fans also demonstrated outside the team hotel before kick-off time. Now that's my news. Now I've got a book here that Jonathan might be interested in. I'm
Yeah.
reading it at the moment.
Oh, yes.
It's
Excellent.
called Strachan, My Life in Football. And
Yeah.
a lot of it is about Coventry City, his life and times as manager and player there.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Steve, have you read it then, Jonathan?
I haven't
Yeah.
read it. I know it's out. Yes, yeah. But thanks for drawing my attention
It's a
to
really
it.
good book, that.
Yeah.
Gordon Strachan, by the way, Alex Ferguson only said that there was one player he wouldn't trust. It was Gordon Strachan.
You wouldn't trust him.
He didn't trust him in terms of stabbing him in the back, I think.
They didn't have a good relationship. No, they had a very bad
No.
relationship. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that now we're both rubbish, we don't talk about us anymore? Coventry City get more of a mention than Wednesday United.
I love it. I love it.
Quite right.
Well, John,
Quite right, Jonathan.
Quite
I
right
agree
too.
with you.
Quite right
Quite
too.
right.
Absolutely.
John,
Yeah.
lots of people will have their fingers crossed about the result tonight.
I'm sure they will for a lot of different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to that Manchester United fiasco, one, I think Gary Neville should be shot, but that's another story.
Yeah, but
It was wholly avoidable. They'd
Yeah.
be talking about it for days before the match,
Yeah.
no preparations, and it wasn't Manchester United fans invading the pitch. It was a bunch of hooligans who tried to use a peaceful protest. How we managed to allow that to be mismanaged, God only knows.
They should have points deducted.
Well, the game must go to
Liverpool are
Liverpool.
claiming the 3 points.
Must automatically go to
I
Liverpool.
support them.
If you don't give them to Liverpool, you have anarchy on your hands.
Well, you probably
see
have a
what
riot
you
in any case. But listening to Gary Neville, because I had not much more to do, it was totally. I don't think he used any of the brain cells he's got.
Has he got any?
Well, he has. I mean, if I'm going to have a brain transplant, I'll have his because it's hardly used.
aye.
Sorry, but
Right.
I just think the authorities in football need to look at themselves in the and say, why are we in this mess? And it's down to them.
Hmm.
Well,
There
that's
are
true, that.
Abject
Carry on.
catalogue breaches of security at Old Trafford. This is the most serious one probably, but there have been several. For a big club, for a massive club, it's really shocking.
It is. Yeah.
If I ran on the field at a cricket match, I would be in jail, I would be fined, I would be, the full weight of the law applies to a spectator.
And banned from going to another match.
Absolutely.
Have your bails
So,
removed.
have your bails removed and your stumps muted.
But the
So
point is,
what action is going to be taken against the people that got inside that ground? That's what I'd love to know.
They've
Well,
arrested
just
one. Yeah.
Lock the door and arrest them all.
But they've arrested one for attacking the policeman, haven't they?
Yeah.
Just one.
Staggering.
Slaps
Well,
with a bottle.
But this is why this is why this police law is coming. Is trying to get through for situations like this. It's not to stop peaceful protest. It's to stop hooligans taking over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the hooligans are always one step ahead. They hear what's going on, they plan it, and they usurp it. And yes, there probably were a majority of people at the hotel and around the ground who were disgruntled with the Glazers and all the rest of it. But there was an element there that were there to actually cause a problem, just as there have been in a lot of peaceful protests lately.
Yeah.
Well, they smashed glass, smashed a camera.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And we had the same problem at Coventry a few years ago. Actually, it was the Sheffield United. We were playing Sheffield United, and there were these yobs invading the pitch and throwing tennis balls onto the pitch. And at a crucial stage of the game for us, when we needed the points, and absolute idiocy, but hooliganism beyond anything else. And then the game we had at Charlton a little bit before then, when people were throwing pink pigs onto the toy pigs onto the pitch, and the game had to be delayed. And you know, whatever one's feelings about the running of a football club, there is no excuse for that sort of behaviour at all.
Absolutely. Chris, you know what the answer is, don't you, Chris?
Hello, yes. What's the answer?
Turn the hose on.
Turn the hose on them.
Yeah.
Ah.
No.
Did you see the BBC interviews with the fans outside?
Yes.
None of them agreed with the fans inside. They all wanted to protest, but they didn't agree with going in the ground.
Yeah, it's the yobos that went in.
I don't know if you noticed, you're saying about turning the hose on, they actually turned the sprinklers on.
Yeah.
It had no effect.
No, you want a good power jet. They don't like it up them, Keith. They do not like it up them.
Right, come on then, Lol. Is that it?
That's it, Keith.
Right.
Well, thank you, Lol.
Lol.
Right, we'll move swiftly on to the coolest presentation we're going to have this week.
Yes, thank you, Keith.
Paul the Biscuit, take it away, please.
Wonderful introduction, thank you. So I'm talking about the film Cool Runnings. How many of you have ever seen the film, just as a matter of interest?
Yeah.
Hundreds of times.
Yeah, a few. That's good. Yeah. So I will say right from the outset that Cool Runnings will never go down as one of the all-time greats in cinematic history. But it is a great story, a lovely story, and it can't fail to warm the heart of anyone who watches it, I don't think. It's a Disney American comedy sports film directed by John Turteltaub and starring quite a few people who I've never heard of and I've never seen in films since. Leon Robinson, Doug E. Doug, Raul D. Lewis, and Malik Yoba. Never heard of any of those. Others might know better, but the real star is John Candy.
Yeah.
It was the last film that was of his that was released before his death. He died the following year. It came out in 1993. He died the following year of a heart attack, and if you look at him in the film, you can see why, because he is absolutely huge. But it's loosely based on the true story of the Jamaican national bobsleigh team, their debuting competition at the 1988 Winter Olympics in Calgary, Canada. The film received generally positive reviews. It got a rating of 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, despite the name, is actually a rating of good films, apparently. The consensus was that it rises above its formulaic sports movie themes with charming performances, light humour, and an uplifting tone. And the cinema audiences for the cinema score gave it a grade A on a grading of A to F. So Cool Runnings got a grade A. The film's soundtrack also became popular with Jimmy Cliff's cover of I Can See Clearly Now reaching the top 40 as a single in the US, Canada, France, and the UK. So its music was quite popular too.
Yeah.
So if I let you know what the film is actually about, it starts in November 1987 when a Jamaican sprinter, Derice Bannock, is training to qualify for the 100 meters at the 1988 Summer Olympics. His father had previously won a gold medal in the 100 meters 16 years earlier. And he's hot favourite to qualify as the best runner in Jamaica. However, in the qualifying race, he fails to qualify when a fellow athlete trips himself up, but falls over and brings down Derice Bannock and also another athlete called Yul Brenner. And if you see Yul Brenner, he looks just like Yul Brenner, but he's black and he's massive. Okay. So he brings down two other athletes. So Derice Bannock vents his frustration. He goes to the president of the Jamaican Olympic Association, pleading that he gets a place. But he's turned down. But he spots a photograph in the president's office, which features his late father. And his late father in the photograph is standing next to a fellow Olympic gold medal winner. And the president identifies the man as a disgraced American bobsled medalist. He's called Irv Blitzer, who was disqualified for cheating in the 1972 Winter Olympics. And Derice suddenly hits on an idea and realizes that he could perhaps qualify for the 1988 Winter Olympics by forming a bobsled team. And he recruits his friend, a man called Sanka Coffey. He's a pushcart derby driver. And so he comes up with this idea that perhaps he could qualify for the Winter Olympics if he can get the help, enlist the help of this disgraced former bobsledder. Because this disgraced guy, Blitzer, who is John Candy, is now working in Jamaica as a bookie. And he at first refuses to help Derice. He says, don't be ridiculous, you have no chance. Derice tries to talk him into it, and he comes out with the lines. He says, all right, Derice, let me lay out some of the difficulties for you. Snow, you don't have any. It's 900 degrees out there. Time, you don't have any. The Olympics are in 3 months. And me, you don't have me either. As far as I'm concerned, the sport of bobsledding no longer exists. I don't want to do it. I don't want to coach it. And most of all, I don't want to be within 2,000 miles of anyone who does. So that's his, pretty decent put down. Until he finds out that this guy standing in front of him is the son of Ben Baddock, who he greatly respected. And he eventually agrees to help them try to qualify. They have a recruitment drive to get two other people to join in the team, which fails until two other people arrive. This man, and it's the two people who were also tripped up in the race. And so they form this group of four until Yul Brenner realizes that one of the teammates who he's going to be working with is the man who tripped him up in the trials. And he wants to kill him. He says, I'll kill him. Brenner says, I'm going to kick his butt. So the push-car driver, little guy, stands up. He's a bit of a comedian. He says to Yul Brenner, who is as bald as a coot, he says, how about I draw a line down the middle of your head so it looks like a butt? And so Junior is very diffident. He's scared of Yul Brenner, but Sanka isn't. Although he's small, he can out-talk Yul Brenner. And he says to the great big guy, says, you're the kind of club-toting, raw meat-eating, big-balled bobblehead who can only count to 10 if he's barefoot or wearing sandals. And he also carries a lucky egg whenever he competes, which he stuffs down his clothes. Anyway, the team train with Blitzer, although the president of the Jamaican Olympic Association refuses to fund the $20,000 needed to participate in the Olympics, believing that this inexperienced team will bring shame on Jamaica. The team find various ways to raise the money, ranging from singing in the street to arm wrestling to giving out free kisses for money. But Junior, who was frightened to death of his father, never stood up to his father at all because his father wants him to go into business. He sells his car to finance the trip to Canada. So he sells it, and they raise the 20,000. When they get to Calgary, the coach, John Candy, registers the team, and he manages to get an old bobsled from a former US teammate. The Jamaicans struggle to adapt to the cold. As they arrive in Calgary and come out of the airport, it's minus 25 degrees. Sanka goes into his bag, puts every single bit of clothing on, and then wears the hold all as a coat. Later on the track, he actually carries a hot water bottle stuffed down his clothes. But they struggle to drive the bobsled, but eventually they go, do a fair bit of training, do a fair bit of practice, and it pays off to a certain extent. De Ries begins to copy the techniques of the Swiss team, who he greatly admires. The other three managed to get themselves into a bar fight with the snobbish East German team, who don't want them anywhere near the competition at all. The team manages to qualify for the competition proper by the skin of their teeth with their last practice run, only to find that they have been disqualified by the Olympic Committee as retribution for their coach's prior cheating. Blitzer confronts his former coach, who is now a member of that committee. He's a judge on the committee, and he asks him not to punish the Jamaicans because of his own cheating. And that night, a committee meeting is held, and the team are eventually informed that they have been reinstated. But Junior's father, this is the guy who sold his car, arrives in Calgary to get his son out of the team. But Junior, for the first time in his life, stands up to his father and shows a commitment to the team and says, "I'm not coming home, I'm going to stay there." When the actual competition starts, the whole of Jamaica is watching their team on TV. But the team's first day on the track is absolutely abysmal, and they finish in last place after the first round. Sanka, the comedian, realizes that De Ries is copying the Swiss team's methods and argues that the team should be more a bobsled Jamaica team. And when they stand on the line for the second round, for their second run of the day, they call out in unison, "Feel the rhythm, feel the ride, get on up, it's bobsled time." And they all belt off and set off. They have a great run and improve on their second day and move up to 8th place. For the final day, there is great excitement throughout the island about whether or not, and throughout the whole world, to be fair, about whether or not the team might actually move up from 8th place and contend for a medal. During their final run, however, one of the bobsled's blades detaches, and it causes the sled to flip over and crash. But determined to finish the race, the Jamaicans pick up their bobsled and carry it across the line on their shoulders, earning the applause of all the other teams, all the spectators. And even Junior's father is there at the finish and shows that he's got a Jamaican bobsled sort of fan team T-shirt on. So they walk across the line, all the music's playing and everything. It's a very touching moment. And the epilogue to the film explains that the team returned home as heroes and then go on to the 1992 Winter Olympics to participate as equals. Okay, so that's basically the story of the film. It's a great film to watch. It's a lot of fun. But I then decided to have a look to see what it's based on and how real is it. Okay. Well, the members of the team in the film are completely fictional characters, although the people who conceived the idea of a Jamaican bobsled team were inspired by pushcart racers, just like Sanka was. They tried to recruit top sprinters, but none of them were interested. And in the end, they recruited 4 sprinters from the Jamaican army for the team. And they only did it because they were following orders. They were told they had to go. Okay, so they did have a team, but on orders. Irving Blitzer, the John Candy character, is completely fictional. The real team had several trainers, none of whom were connected in any cheating scandal. And at the time of the movie's release, the United States had not won a gold medal in bobsleigh since 1948. So the story about the cheating scandal is complete fabrication. In fact, they didn't win another gold medal until the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver. In the actual competition, the Jamaicans are regarded as unwelcome outsiders in the film, I'm sorry. But in the actual games, the other countries treated them as equals right from the outset. There was no animosity between the team and their competitors. In fact, the Jamaicans were helped by the United States team, who lent them one of their backup sleds. So that bit was true. They didn't have to buy another team sled or anything like that. It says, while the Jamaicans did crash their bobsled on their 3rd out of 4 scheduled runs, the film implies that the team was a medal contender, having run a world record pace prior to the crash. In reality, they were 24th out of 26 after their first run was completed. Their second run was completed in 59 seconds, which was the next to the worst time of the lot, and they crashed on the 3rd one. To have been anywhere near a medal, they would have had to have been 10 seconds faster than everybody else to have even got a bronze. So realistically, they were nowhere near at all. In the crash, the crash in the film happens on the 3rd run, the 3rd and final run, and is depicted to have been caused by a mechanical failure on the front blade of the sled. A nut and bolt basically comes loose and causes the lack of control. In reality, the crash happened because it was deemed that the driver's inexperience, excess speed, and taking the turn too high caused the sled to become unstable and top heavy seconds prior to toppling over. The team never even started the final run of the competition at all. Real TV footage of the actual crash was used in the film, but very heavily edited to fit in with the film's version of the crash. Both the run and the high-speed crash were disorientating. The real team member, Nelson Stokes, he says, I felt a bump, he says, when they tipped, but didn't realise that they turned over until he started to smell his helmet melting. He says, it was friction burning on the ice. He says, it's a smell that stays with you for many years afterwards. When the sled tipped, they were doing 81 miles an hour. And their helmets scraped against the wall for 650 yards until they came to a stop.
Oh my God.
Yeah. After the crash, the film depicts the Jamaicans carrying their sled on their shoulders to the finish, to this slow building ovation. In reality, they didn't carry the sled, but they walked next to it and pushed it. It says they also received somewhat sporadic applause, less than the crescendo response on the film. But the actual bobsledders did say that the spectator applause was the reason that their run turned from tragedy to triumph as far as they were concerned. So that was the story of the real thing. And that's the story of Cool Runnings. That's the film, and you can probably see some of the characters there. It's meant to be a comedy, loosely based on a true story. Just a couple of personal things that I'd like to just sort of mention to that. It became my son's, some of you have met Ryan, he carried the Olympic torch and came to talk to our group. And he became obsessed by the film. There were large sections of it that he could recite by heart. He absolutely loved taking off Sanker, the comedian, the funny one, the big bald bobblehead and all this sort of stuff. He loved doing that. But he got so interested in bobsledding that we actually took him to take part in at Bath University. It's the only bobsled area in the whole of the UK. It's a dry run, but you can go and take part with other people. And they were split into 3 teams of 4, and they were shown how to do it, how to jump into the sled and all that stuff. And they had electronic timing. And it was a full day of activity. It was really good fun. He absolutely loved it. He'd be about 11 or 12 at the time, something like that. But you could actually go and take part in the bobsled thing. But the other thing I wanted to mention was that if you think it's absolutely ridiculous that somebody could form a team and get to the Olympics within just a few months' time, I do have personal experience of it happening. Some of you will remember that I invited somebody to come to speak to our group at Crystal Peaks. I used to be a PE teacher. I was the head of PE in a sports college in Chesterfield. And because of our sort of status, we used to have the responsibility of training other PE teachers. And we used to get 2 every term. In the summer term one year, we had somebody called Nicola Gautier who came to us. She was ranked 4th in the UK in the heptathlon. She was a brilliant all-round athlete. Denise Lewis and Kelly Sotherton were 2 of the other people ahead of her. I can't remember who the third one was. But she represented Great Britain in the heptathlon several times. She came up to me one morning. She'd only been there a fortnight. She says, "Paul, am I allowed to ask for time off?" I says, "What do you mean?" She says, I said, "How long are you thinking of?" I was thinking perhaps you got a funeral or something like that. She says, "Probably about 3 weeks." I said, "Why? What are you going to do?" She says, "Well, the British Olympic Association have just rung me and asked me if I would like to go to Canada. They want me to try out for the Olympic bobsled team." I says, "Are you serious?" She says, "Yeah." She says, "First thing is, I don't even know what a bobsled is." She says, "I have no idea what they want me to do, but apparently I'm a good sprinter and they want me to go and try out." So I said, "Have you got a chance of going to the Olympics?" She says, "Yes." I said, "For heaven's sake, go and ring them up now. Tell them you're going. You know, if you've got a chance of going to the Olympics, you must try." And she went and she got in the team and she competed at the Olympics for Great Britain. They didn't win a medal or anything, but she went to 2 further Olympics as well. She eventually became the driver. Their best place at the Olympics was 8th, but at the World Championships, they won. And she became the driver of the World Championship bobsled team.
Wow.
Now, this is somebody who didn't know what a bobsled was when she was invited to go. Seriously didn't know what it was. So that's an example of it can actually happen. Because it's happened to her. I'm sure you've probably heard of her. She's now known as Nicola Minicello. She married Tony. And she was one of Jessica Ennis's coaches as well at one time. So Nicola Minicello, the marriage broke up, but she's still known as Nicola Minicello. She coaches several bobsled teams around the world, including the Canadian and the US team at one time, I think. But yeah, that's the story of Nicola Minicello, bobsled champion, world champion. She's very proud of it, quite right.
Quite right. When she came to the group, her story was absolutely fantastic. And I don't know if on the website or not, but it is a fantastic story. She became Supremo of North American bobsleighing from what she was, and it was a truly remarkable thing. She was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
She was. Yeah, sorry, Keith.
Not any airs and graces on her. She was just fantastic. Yeah.
So, at Crystal Peaks.
Yes. A very touching personal story because she had family tragedy. Her brother took his own life. So she had a lot to overcome.
Yeah. Fabulous, Paul. Just one question. What other sporting event took place at the same time as Cool Runnings?
Eddie the Eagle?
Eddie the Eagle. It was the same Olympics.
Same one.
Yeah.
I've been to the ski jump where they jump from.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Like jumping off at End of World.
Yeah.
Did you feel tempted,
Yeah.
Paul?
Not at all. Not at all. I just looked.
Yeah.
John
I went
Candy.
I went to the one at Innsbruck.
I've been there, Paul.
The ski jumping place. I couldn't even stand up on it. It was so steep.
Yeah.
Literally, it was only grass. It was in the summer. It was grass. Couldn't stand up on it.
Yeah. And when you look down the slope at Innsbruck and across the road, there's a cemetery.
There is.
Paul, can I
Yeah.
ask you, do you watch The Chase?
No. never
Does
seen
anyone
it.
watch The Chase? Last
Yeah.
night, there was a question, and it was in which film released in Norway, it was translated as Cold Bottoms. And the answer was Cool Runnings. And I nearly fell off the settee knowing you were going to do the film. Norway, it was called Cold Bottoms.
I suppose when they fell out of the sled, they did have cold buttons.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
It was a very, very financially successful film.
Yes, it was.
Many millions of dollars.
Yeah.
The
Brilliant,
ending,
Bob, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Bob.
Yeah.
John Candy, by the way, was 5 pounds short of 20 stone when he died.
is that all?
Yeah.
Looking at the film, it looks a lot more.
Yeah. And his father, he died of a heart disease in 1955, and he was only 35 years old.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's in
Fantastic.
the family.
Anyway, Paul, that was fabulous. Anybody else want to try one next week or in a couple of weeks' time? Anybody? Ian, weren't you going to do one on Champion?
Yeah, Alden Eaty and Bob Champion. I'm just a bit tied up at the moment, Keith, with RAF stuff.
All right.
And will be frankly, until July. So
Okay.
I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Have we got any other volunteers? Silence. Right.
In a bit,
we'll-
in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll be able to do something.
Yeah.
I'll talk to John and one or two others, see if I can come up with something.
Right.
Yeah.
There's plenty of
And-
material.
And we've got a quiz that John on his talk of last week. So we now just coming up to a minute left. So
Apocalypse Now.
that's about it for this week, chaps.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Take good destiny
And,
tonight.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Very good, Paul.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Lol.
Well done, Lol.
And let's see what happens with the football tonight. So
Oh, you mentioned football, are you? Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's Wednesday.
no, football. Oh,
I haven't seen any this year, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
no. Anyway, chaps, thank you very much, and we'll
Well done.
see you all next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bless, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.